So Trump took a bribe. Before he went to Qatar, he was already setting up Boeing, to the CEO of Boeing, to go with him to Qatar because Boeing promised to buy up to 210 Boeing uh, jets, planes. So Trump got a free plane out, a free 400 million jet out of bridging the deal between Boeing and Qatar. So premeditatively, Trump already had in mind to take the Boeing CEO to Qatar when he visited the region, and so they gave him the Qatar government, for Trump fixing this deal with Boeing and the government of Qatar, to buy up to 210 jets from Boeing, the Qatar royal family, the government. So they gave him, they basically give Trump a free jet plane out of it, out of making that deal, out of bridging that deal between Boeing and Qatar. So when it was leaked out that Trump wanted this jet in the media, he made an excuse like, "Oh no, it's for my library," or because of Air Force One, Boeing is taking too long. Boeing is taking too long, and I want the new plane before I leave my second term. I want to fly in a new plane because it looks way better than Air Force One. And then when I finish my term, I would transfer the ownership to my library. In order for him to make an excuse in the library to say, "Oh, this is an official act of my library. I'm flying to this state. I'm flying to that state. I'm flying to this government." And basically, he's just going to fly wherever he wants with the jet and use the excuse that he's on official flights because of, "Oh, I got to pick up a library book over here in this government. Or I got to pick a unique book over here. So I'm using this for official purposes." And fly anywhere he wants, anytime he wants, with his own personal plane that's given as a bribe by Qatar for bridging this deal between Boeing and the government of Qatar to purchase off of Boeing up to 210 jets. So basically, Trump took a kickback. He took a bribe. This is not the first time he's taken bribed. He took $10 million from the Egyptian president to sell him military weapons. And then he took them $10 million. He made it seem like it was a campaign fund. He didn't disclose that it was a foreign campaign fund, which is illegal to accept foreign money in national campaigns. He didn't disclose that. And then he made it seem like it was the $10 million was donated to his campaign pack. But he made it seem like it came out of his pockets. So to be reimbursed as an expense. And then he pocketed the $10 million off the Egyptian president to sell him weapons. Look at Senator Menendez. Senator Menendez is doing 11 years in prison, got kicked out of the Senate for taking 2 gold bars off the Egyptian government and hiding it in his closet. Look at George Santos. George Santos, he got, for using somebody else's credit card, he's doing 8 years in prison. But somehow the Republicans make it seem like Trump, hey, he's making all of the deals, and that's all that matters. But in reality, Trump is a fixer, and he's enriching himself every step of the way. Saudi Arabia gave him Jared $2 billion for him to oversee a portfolio investment fund, and they're laundering millions and millions of dollars to Jared, and Jared is laundered into the Trump holdings for managing this portfolio. So Jared is investing it, the millions and millions of dollars of managing this portfolio into Ivanka, and Ivanka thereby launders it into Trump holdings. The same for I think it's Dubai. They creating a golf course resort with villas and it looked like a little town they were building for Trump as a golf course. Look at the new leader of Syria that was formerly a affiliated member of Al Qaeda, and he overtook Syria And now he got invited by the crown prince to go to meet Trump in Saudi Arabia, and now he promised Trump to build a Trump Tower in Damascus. The president, the leader of Syria, is going to build Trump a tower in Damascus, the capital of Syria. And I'm pretty sure the weapons that Trump will sell to the Saudi Arabian government, they will funnel it to Syria in order to fend off the Israeli bombardment of the gas fields. Because Israel is trying to bombard and expand the Gaza Strip territory and conquer more territory off of Syria. But Trump doesn't care who he launders with. The same way Netanyahu, Trump is trying to get the Riviera, the Trump Riviera. So Trump is playing both sides of the fence, just for him to make a killing in real estate and his holdings. So he wants the crown prince to fund development in the Riviera. At the same time, he's willing to send weapons to the Syrian leader. Basically, by selling weapons to the crown prince, he's going to funnel that into Syria. Those weapons. As well as Turkey is trying to use Syria as a puppet state, while Israel is trying to conquer the Gaza Strip, expand beyond the Golan Heights, I mean. And they're trying to take and claim the whole Gaza Strip by ethnic cleansing. So Trump is like playing both sides of the fence with Netanyahu, the Syrian leader, and the Saudi Arabian government. But he doesn't care. Trump doesn't care because he launders all this into his real estate. Using his World Liberty crypto companies. You know, if you own the computers of the blockchain, you can delete transactions if you were the owner of the company. And you can delete it off the hard drive of the computers. So that's a perfect way to launder money, is to own a crypto mining farm and to delete the blockchains as you launder money into your own computers, crypto computers. So being the owner is like a front company that gives you the right to launder money, because if you operate the company, if you own the company, you got to understand you can delete transactions by controlling the computers. So it's a perfect instrument for Trump to launder billions and billions of dollars into his real estate from foreign interests. Not to mention, Trump is in bed with, always been in bed with American oil interests, Exxon, Texaco, Chevron. That's why Trump wants Russia part of the G7 again, in order to raise the sanctions, in order for Exxon to do deals in the Arctic. He wants to take off Canada territory. He wants to take Greenland territory. And he wants to set the global oil prices with the Crown Prince and the Dubai and the Emirates, United Emirates, Qatar. He wants to set the oil prices, and they launder billions into him. And so he created this crypto meme coins and all that for they can pump and dump, and then he could delete the blockchains to hide the money laundering. So it's incredible. Not to mention, Trump got arrested, and not arrested, but he got indicted. It was a criminal proceeding, and then he probably got it lowered down to a civil proceeding of New York. So Trump has always been a racketeer when it comes to real estate. Letitia James proved that he was committing bank fraud, tax evasion, and insurance fraud to when he was developing his properties in New York. They fined him $500 million, $500 million. But he hasn't stopped. Trump doesn't stop. He will always skirt the law and go around the law. He will always find lawyers to argue and loopholes. And now that he's in control of the Republican Party, he uses that as to his benefit to be a robber baron and be immune from the law. Even the government. The Supreme Court said that he can't be prosecuted while he's president. So all he has to do is ride out the clock. But he's so klutz of a buffoon that he's like an open book. How are you gonna accept a $400 million jet from Qatar to when you're planning to take the Boeing CEO to on your trip to meet the royal family of Qatar, to make a deal, to bridge a deal for up to 210 jet planes for the government of Qatar. 210 they plan to buy off Boeing. And out of it, they gave Trump a free jet valued at $400 million. Because Trump probably haggled to bring down Boeing's prices. And at the same time, now they got him leveraged. Remember Trump saying, "Oh, Boeing's taking too long to do the new model of Air Force One. They're taking too long, and I want a new plane to ride in my administration. And when my term is up, we'll transfer the ownership to my library." And then he'll use the excuse anywhere he flies. "Oh, I'm going to fly to this country, that country, this state to pick up a book. To include it in my collection of books in my library. Or I'm picking a book holder or a bookmark. Use it. He could use any excuse to fly that jet as an official act of the library. Oh, I'm going to pick this book up to include it in my library. So I got to fly to this country. I got to fly to this state. So any excuse he could use to fly that plane and own it under his library. Because that plane is way better than the plane he has now. His private plane. And that's all he cares about, is upgrading from the plane that he currently owns to this new plane. This is why he went to the Warren School of Finance, to know how to embezzle and racketeer, financially commit fraud. This is why he went to the Warren School of Finance, to understand how to be a business racketeer, how to launder, how to embezzle, how to swindle the banks, how to skirt the law. So out of this, Trump laid down with Abdul, the leader of the Taliban, in his first term for the love of oil, because he wanted to run a pipeline from the Russian Arctic all the way to the Tajikistan. It had to go through Afghanistan, the pipeline, in order to reach India with Exxon Russian Arctic Energy. And in that same pipeline, he wanted to route something going to China. So in order for the Taliban, under his first term, not to terrorize the pipeline or not to sabotage the pipeline, he decided to undermine the American Afghan government, the coalition government that we fought after 9/11 to overthrow the Taliban and to rise up an Afghan American lenient government. So because Trump had a few more days in his first term in office, he said, "Well, I got to get this deal bridged. I only have he had a few weeks left in his term, in his first term." So he decided to send Pompeo over to Afghanistan, remove the Afghan president out of power, and release the Taliban from prison and put them in charge of the Afghan government. Just as long as they made a deal with him not to terrorize that pipeline. So in other words, 20 years of soldiers dying in Afghanistan, the memory of 9/11, he pissed on the eternal fountains, just for the love of oil, like a venomous snake oil peddler. He laid down with the Taliban for the love of that pipeline. And the reason the Emirates spoils him, it's no longer the Persian Gulf. It's the Gulf of Arabia. Right before he went to see the Crown Prince and basically suck his, for the love of money. The more money they launder through Jared and his son Eric Trump, the better. That's how Trump sees it. He got resorts throughout Dubai, the United Emirates, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. Not to mention, he wants to the Riviera projects, the Trump Riviera, once they do ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians. No, maybe the Trump Golan Heights. Netanyahu called it the Trump Golden Heights. It used to be the Golan Heights that Israel conquered of Syria, but now they call it the Trump Golan Heights. I'm pretty sure he wants to build buildings there too. So the Crown Prince invited the new leader of Syria to be in Saudi Arabia to sit down and negotiate with Trump to raise sanctions off of Syria. And the Syrian leader said, I'm going to build you a tower in Damascus. You think Trump turned it down? No, Trump accepts anything. When he's making all these deals for these corporations, they embezzle money into his cryptos. They don't expect to earn a penny out of it, but it's just an instrument of pump and dumps, up and down cycles on his stock values of his shares of his crypto companies. Where Liberty is his crypto company. Now, Trump Jr. wants to create his own crypto company too. Because these are the instruments they're using to launder money. They create these shell company crypto companies. And they control the computer systems, the blockchain monitoring computer systems, the crypto mining computers. And they will delete the blockchains when they launder money into their real estates. And so Trump wants to lay down with Russia for the love of the Russian Arctic. He wants to take Canada off of Canada, Greenland off the Dutch. He wants to control the pipelines in the Arctic. He wants to control the world market of oil. He's a snake oil remittance for Exxon, where Rex Tillerson, that's how the whole thing started between Car Icon gas refinery businesses in 2015 and Rex Tillerson Exxon. That's how this whole escapade started of Trump for the love of oil. And so he's laundering all that interest. He's leveraging it and laundering all the kickbacks, all the briberies through his cryptos into his real estate. They're building him a big golf resort, I think in Dubai. Saudi Arabia, he has a Trump Tower. Jared is receiving laundered money through this $2 billion real estate portfolios. Trump is begging them for Riviera money, for redevelopment in Riviera, the Gaza Strip. Trump has his eyes on taking Greenland and Canada. And Trump wants the whole world to be pegged to the petrodollar. And so, not only does these countries have him leverage, but he's willing to sell them weapons too, like he did to the Egyptian president, just for him to pocket the money, the $10 million to sell Egypt weapons. So, how can you be so incompetent, knowing that that if you accept a $4 million jet while you're planning to take the CEO of Boeing to the government of Qatar to bridge a deal between Boeing and Qatar for up to 210 planes. 210 jet planes. I'm pretty sure Trump haggled Boeing in order to get this free jet out of the Qatar government. I'm pretty sure Trump haggled Boeing. Probably threatening terror from Boeing for building, if they build up or importing their parts from abroad. Trump probably put leverage on Boeing to haggle their prices down in order for Qatar to throw in a free jet, $400 million jet for Trump to make this order the deal. So Trump appointed Janine Parrow. She was I think a prosecutor. She had a reality show, a court, fake Hollywood reality show, just like Steve Harvey was a judge. He had his own courtroom show. Jerry Springer had his own courtroom show. So Judge Janine Parrow, that's why they call it Judge Janine Parrow, because she had her own sitcom show as a judge. And she went to work for Fox News as a bimbo, toots of a obnoxious, streaky voice of an anchor. You know, Murdoch uses Trump to affect the markets with his business news and use Trump to leverage the markets. So Trump hires everything through Fox News, like it's some type of temp agency, or you know, he has to hire through Fox News. Pete Hegseth, Janine Parrow. So, and Trump Jr. having an affair, leaving his baby mother for a Fox anchor, because Trump is laying down with Murdoch to affect the business news, the stock markets with Fox News, Wall Street, cable news. And so that's how Trump does insider trading and uses his platform to affect the markets. So, and then Trump relies on Murdoch as a bullhorn for his base to flaunt propaganda. So Trump hired Janine Parrow to be the Attorney General of the District of Washington, D.C., the Columbia District, in case, because Trump knows he's going to lose the midterms to the Democrats. He knows he's going to lose the Senate and the House. And so he's plotting ahead of time to subvert the Attorney General's office in the Washington, D.C. district. So he appointed Janine Parrow to be the Attorney General of Washington, D.C., to block that department and install any committee hearings in the Senate once the Democrats take over the Senate and the House during the midterms elections. So he wants to use Janine Parrow to obstruct the Justice Department in Washington, D.C. The same way the lawyer that defended him in New York for the fraud case that he was found guilty of, the bimbo lawyer that looked like Miley Cyrus, he's using her as the Attorney General of New Jersey. In case they want to seize his properties in New Jersey, he wants to put her, his fixer lawyer, to be the Attorney General of New Jersey in order to protect his Bedminster properties and his holdings in New Jersey. I'm surprised. I don't know who he appointed to New York. Most likely he will appoint somebody to New York to protect his New York real estate holdings. Just for he can run out the clock. Because the Justice Department, meaning the Supreme Court, says he cannot be prosecuted while he's in office. So he knows all he has to do is put the Justice Department, the Attorney Generals that he appointed, Judge Janine Parrow, if you could call her a judge, he put her as the Attorney General of Washington in order to stall any committee findings of criminalities on Trump. And then he has Kash Patel. He was the lawyer that assisted Nunes in obstructing the Robert Mueller report. And they both got cushy jobs as board members of Truth Social, where Trump laundered millions of dollars into their pockets. That Kash Patel, he used to have clothing lines that his first money had dollar signs in it, cash. And then he had death skulls of Trump while he was threatening to vet out the government, the FBI, make a museum out of the headquarters. What Kash Patel is doing is trying to raid all the archives of the FBI's files to destroy any evidence of Trump that implicates him and Nunes and Trump. So basically, he's a crony person. You could consider him like he's destroying evidence. Kash Patel, by having access to the FBI archives, now he can delete and burn and destroy or shred any files that are criminal evidence against Trump. While you have Elon Musk, Trump giving him defense contracts. Trump probably gives him the lithium of Ukraine when he forced Zelensky to sign a mineral deal. Now, all that lithium probably goes to Elon, and Elon is helping Trump hack into every agency's computer systems to unencrypt any files to find for his FBI director. Like Elon will be hacking into every computer system to unencrypt any files to see what Trump can find when it comes to the IRS audit records of Trump, when it comes to the Justice Department criminality records of Trump, when it comes to the FBI records, when it comes to Trump selling weapons in the Pentagon and taking kickbacks like he did the Egyptian president. So that Trump appoints people for positions just for them to do his bidding, and the corruption of his administration, and how Trump appoints officials that he feels that they will be willing to do his bidding. In other words, be complicit, like Nunez and Cash Patel. And you remember the New York fraud case, real estate, bank fraud, tax evasion, insurance fraud for his buildings and all of that. He got found guilty of and was charged $500 million, 500 million, to pay for his bank fraud, insurance fraud, tax evasion. And so he ran out the clock with that. He got reelected. All of a sudden, they dropped down the charges from $500 million to $100 million. And I bet you he will pay judges and the Republican Party within the city of New York to dismiss, so he can pay zero in penalties, because he's still in court fighting over that he shouldn't pay a penny. And so he infiltrated the Republican government, and now he appoints whoever he feels as Republican judges, as Republican senators, as Republican governors, as Republican mayors, anyone that's a sycophant of him, that's willing to turn and think that they're doing the art of the deals for him, or they following Trump's assumptions. Oh, the deep state, fake news. This is all fake news in the deep state. And gullible. But I don't think these politicians are gullible. They know that Trump is a fixer, and they're willing to run with him, alongside him, and propagate to the American citizens, yes, it's the deep state, it's fake news, in order for them as corrupt officials to will and deal with pork barrel deals, government deals for themselves with special interests. And they gullied Trump's base, these politicians, to make it seem, oh, it's fake news, it's the deep state, it's the radical left. And that's the excuse that Trump uses to deflect his criminalities off of him and make it seem like it's the deep state of the Democrats. It's like, I'm made out of rubber, whatever y'all says bounces off of me and sticks to y'all like glue. That's the tactic that he uses. That is all fake news, it's a deep state. The media is the enemy of the people. And the politicians that line up behind him, the crony Republicans, they follow that gimmick, that pitch, in order to convince his base, like, oh, Trump is the victim. And they hide, like the House of Cards, behind closed doors, and they will and deal for themselves. But Trump is so brazen with his dealings that you can tell all the money that he's laundering into himself. It's obvious to see. He's so brazen that he's like, it's just the art of the deal. Why blame me for the art of the deals? I'm making America great again. I'm making America rich again. Bigger and greater than ever before. And the Republicans think like, oh, this is just a price we have to pay to make America rich again. While he's destroying the world economy, setting the world into a recession. America is experiencing inflation because of his tariff wars. The markets are unstable. The world is ditching the American reserve currency. NATO will defend Canada and Greenland. if Trump tries to invade it or annex it. So Spain, Germany, France, they're dealing directly with the global South economies and bypassing America's economies. The same for the global South. So every country is going to bypass America's economies under Trump's administration, that is, with his global tariff wars. So he's not making this country great again. He's sabotaging it and only enriching himself narrow-mindedly. And the crony CEOs that want to get rich off of him, his oligarchs. So the latest one, because Trump is in the pocket of the fossil fuels, Trump is in the pocket of AI companies, Trump is in the pocket of real estate laundering, money into real estate. Why would you accept a $400 million private gift of a jet when you're headed down to that country with the Boeing CEO to sell that country 210 flying jet Boeing planes? 210 Qatar is buying off of Boeing. I'm pretty sure Trump haggled Boeing down in order for the Emirates to make a saving discount. And out of that discount, they give a kickback. They gave Trump a free plane out of it. Like I already said, Trump Trump make money out of the defense industries. Trump is selling weapons like he did to the Egyptian president. That's why the Egyptian president gave him $10 million to launder into his pockets by selling Egypt military weapons. So Trump is selling weapons in the black markets, if you will, by taking kickbacks, by taking bribery. He's selling weapons to Saudi Arabia, and in return they launder money into his real estate through this Jared portfolio. He's selling AI technologies because he's laying down in bed with Google or Oracle, SoftBank CEO to make America's tech industries advance by them making deals through Trump as president. So Trump is laying down with any industry that he feels that he can make a deal and get something out of it. And he does that through meme coins and NFT cards and cryptos transactions that he owns the companies, him and his son. And they use affiliate crypto companies too, as shell companies, as firewalls. So it's like a conglomerate of crypto companies lining up behind Trump and Trump Jr. They have their own cryptos, but they also affiliate themselves with other crypto companies, and they peg it all. The only reason Trump inserted Bitcoin inside the Treasury Department is because he needed an excuse to launder drug seizure money, crypto transactions, into their Commonwealth National Wealth Fund that Lucknick is dispersing into the stock exchange as they inflict tariffs on these sectors in order to devaluate their stock shares and then activismly pirate the board members and take over the corporations. And they're using drug seizure crypto monies to do it. That's why they used an excuse of Bitcoin inside the Treasury Department as a national wealth fund to give them the excuse to seize drug seizure cartel cryptos transactions and then launder that through Bitcoin inside the Treasury Department into their corporate holdings after they inflict tariffs on targeted sectors of commerce, whether it be American sector companies or foreign abroad companies, where they leverage them by imposing tariffs on their sectors in order to plummet their stock shares, in order to force those companies closer to bankruptcy, in order to get them leveraged and desperate enough for they can move in with this wealth fund that Lucknick is a portfolio manager of to activismly take over corporations by pirating their their companies off of them. That's why Trump used Bitcoin to do that, to launder these seizure monies, for they can create a national wealth fund for themselves. And they use Fox Business News to talk the stocks up and down. The same way Murdoch is a bullhorn for whatever Trump wants to come up with when Trump is weaving his schizophrenic arguments at his rallies. So Murdoch is a political bullhorn for Trump, and also he's a stock manipulator with his Fox Business News, Wall Street business, with his Fox Wall Street stock share business news. Murdoch has the biggest platform for the Republican Party when it comes to business, political news, and a lot of big corporations tune into Fox Business News to keep up with the reportings of what companies doing what stocks are faring good, what stocks are doing bad. And so Murdoch uses his anchors like Maria Barbarossa to just shit talk stocks up and down in the hope that they can affect the markets. And so that comes to advantageous that Trump uses Murdoch for insider trading to put increased leverage on companies, and along with the tariffs and this wealth fund of theirs that they laundered money of cartel money. Not to mention, they flooded Kensington with drugs. That happened under the Trump administration, that Kensington got real as an open dope den under his administration while the riots were happening and the plague broke out. And then they decided to seize those crypto shares of the cartel's money in order to create this wealth fund, using Bitcoin as an excuse to launder that cryptos to the Treasury Department, into their corporations.